Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Our second game of the week is another huge top 10 matchup in the Missouri Valley Conference. We've got the 6th ranked South Dakota State Jackrabbits taking on the 5th ranked Southern Illinois Salukis. And again, guys, it is unbelievable how many top 10 matchups we have had in such a short amount of time in this spring FCS season. I think it just shows how incredible this season has already been, how great it is going to be down the road, especially once we hit playoffs. But let's look at this game, guys. Again, within the Missouri Valley Conference, we already touched on the 2nd-ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks versus 4th-ranked North Dakota State Bison game. That's coming up on Saturday as well in the Missouri Valley Conference. We've touched on that. Let's touch on this one that has serious conference title implications. I want to start with South Dakota State and just kind of how they got to this point first. We're going to break down the offense, the defense, and everything like that. But let's take a little bit of their backstory and what they've done so far. You look at the Jackrabbits, they're 3-1 after barely surviving Youngstown State 19-17 last week. They kicked a game-winning field goal with 31 seconds left to survive the Penguins, not one of the better opponents in the FCS this year. The Jackrabbits are 1-1 in quality games this year. They have a quality road win at Northern Iowa. They have a road loss at North Dakota. And again, we didn't know what North Dakota was capable of earlier in the year. We know what they're capable of now. They're the 2nd-ranked team in the country. They're no fluke. So 1-1 in quality games, 3-1 on the year. Southern Illinois, they are the Cinderella team, guys. They are probably the biggest surprise, on up there, I think, with North Dakota. Biggest surprise of this FCS season. The Salukis are 4-1. The only loss to North Dakota. They upset North Dakota State, as we mentioned before. I feel like every game of the week has had Southern Illinois in there at some point, but it's because they're so dang good. Upset North Dakota State last week in a top 10 showdown, took down number 4 Northern Iowa 17-16. Another top 10 showdown. Again, another impressive victory for the Salukis, all the way up to number 5 now, but they lost their quarterback, Nick Baker, in their game against Northern Iowa. Lost him to a foot injury. His status is uncertain for Saturday's game. That's where we're going to lead off, guys. Let's take a look at the Salukis' offense. Nick Baker has been playing phenomenal ball this year. He has been fantastic at quarterback for the Salukis. If he cannot go, if he cannot play on Saturday, the game is going to go, and the start is going to go to Stone Labanowitz. Stone Labanowitz. What a name for the Salukis quarterback. In replacement of Baker last week, he went 11 for 15, threw for 91 yards and a touchdown, so not too bad. Showed he's capable, especially in a high-pressure situation, a game they had to come back in to defeat the Panthers. But the beauty of all this is if Nick Baker cannot go, Southern Illinois is not a solely passing team. They have a good rushing attack. The Salukis are averaging 183.8 rushing yards per game. They've eclipsed 200 rushing yards 2 times already this year. Again, have played 5 games, so in 40% of the games they've played, they have eclipsed 200 yards. This is a very balanced team. They are a very balanced team. Labanowitz did not look bad, so if he gets the start, don't expect them to play too conservative. They'll air it out with them, but they're balanced, they're methodical, very much like South Dakota State. I would say they're maybe even a little bit more balanced than South Dakota State. And again, they are going to lean on that rushing attack that no one has really been able to stop so far this season. When you look at the Jackrabbits, we expected them to be a run team in 2021, and that's exactly what they've done. The Jackrabbits are averaging 170.8 rushing yards per game, led by Pierre Strong Jr., who back in our preseason preview, looking ahead to this FCS season, we said would be one of the best FCS running backs in the league. And we are seeing that now, or in the nation. And we are seeing that now. 339 yards, 1 touchdown this season. Doesn't sound very impressive, but he is averaging 5 yards per carry, and that is impressive. The Jackrabbits are not a fast team. Unlike their mascot, they're not a fast team. They're very methodical. They move the ball very methodically, and they don't like to air it out that much. They don't like to air it out that much. You look at their quarterback, Mark Gronowski. He's thrown for over 200 yards just once this year, and that was in a loss to North Dakota, a game where they kind of had to throw a little bit more to attempt to come back, a game they lost 28-17. They've scored over 24 points just one time this year, a 45-10 win over Western Illinois. This team isn't going to knock you dead offensively, but they're going to wear you out. They know how to pick up the first downs. They know how to run that ground and pound, slow offensive pace. Certainly one where they try to own that time of possession, and one that might be crucial where Southern Illinois could struggle a little bit offensively if, again, Baker is not ready to go. When you look at the defense for both of these teams, let's start with the Jackrabbits again. They've done exceptionally well on the defensive side of the ball. Exceptionally well. They've already forced 7 turnovers this season. They're only allowing 180.5 passing yards per game. Even more impressive, they're allowing just 122 rushing yards per game. So I would say this is a pretty stingy defense across the board. They know how to force turnovers. They know how to create stops. And they don't really allow many big plays. They aren't allowing many big plays. They know how to generate pressure. I love their front 7. And they're very fast. Unlike their offense, they are fast for the Jackrabbits. The key in this game for them defensively is if Baker does not go, if Nick Baker does not play for the Salukis, they must stop the run. They must make Southern Illinois one-dimensional. And there's a good chance that Baker could play, but not be 100%. And even then, that can make the Salukis one-dimensional. If they take away one of the two options, because remember, we talked about how well Southern Illinois is when it comes to balance. You take away one of their balanced options, and more than likely it would be their passing game, the Jackrabbits have a very good chance to win, especially when their rushing defense has been as stingy as it has been. You look at Southern Illinois, their defense. They have been just as good, I'd say, as South Dakota State. Really, I think they have. They have forced 6 turnovers this year, but my main concern more than anything, they're great with the turnovers, pretty solid against the pass, but the main hole and concern I have for the Salukis defensively is their run defense, is their running defense. The Salukis have allowed 12 touchdowns this year. 8 of the 12 touchdowns have been on the ground. 8 of the 12 touchdowns they've allowed have been rushing touchdowns. They're allowing 194.6 rushing yards per game, including over 200 rushing yards allowed in 3 of the 5 games they have played. So in 60% of the games they have played, they've allowed over 200 yards, yet they are still 4-1. So again, credit to their defense for stepping up when needed. Sometimes those stats are a little bit skewed because Southern Illinois has won some games relatively comfortably. And also, of course, if the defense is so bad, the offense makes up for it. We've seen that. The offense might not be able to do that on Saturday. And again, when you look at those concerning rushing numbers, maybe they're made up somewhere, but that isn't encouraging when they're facing off against one of the better running backs, like we mentioned, in the entire nation, in the entire FCS. That's not very encouraging. And I will say, guys, that with our final analysis here, that is why we are picking the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, the 6th-ranked team in the country, to take down the 5th-ranked Southern Illinois Salukis on the road. Look at this, guys. Just look at it again. Even though it is on the road, we have seen South Dakota State win on the road. They defeated Northern Iowa there. They can do it. Assuming that Nick Baker is out at quarterback for Southern Illinois, he's not going to be able to make up for the defensive struggles. Assuming he is out, they're going to have to rely more heavily on the run. Assuming he is in, he's not going to be 100%. And regardless of if he plays or not, as we mentioned, he can't make up for the defensive struggles. That, to me, is the overlying key in this game, is that Southern Illinois has not been able to stop the run. South Dakota State is a run-heavy team, maybe more so than any opponent that Southern Illinois has faced all year long. The Jackrabbits can win on the road, and they're about to cool off one of the hottest teams in the entire country. The season's not over for Southern Illinois. Their quest for a Missouri Valley championship might be over. 2 losses now, especially if North Dakota wins against the Bison on Saturday. But their quest to make the playoffs is not over. And this is actually still a team that can very well make the national championship. A team that should not be overlooked. Cinderella run, the Cinderella story, is not coming to an end. But again, at the end of the day, Pierre Strong Jr., this Jackrabbits offensive line, which has been exceptional, and this stingy rushing defense that, again, I think plays a major role in this one with Baker not being 100% or possibly not even playing, is just too much for the Salukis to overcome, and is too much power for the Jackrabbits to even have a chance to lose this game. They will go on the road and win it. That, to me, is about the only thing that the Salukis have going for them, home field advantage and that's just not going to be enough on Saturday afternoon. So on this Saturday, guys, the Jackrabbits will improve to 4-1 on the year. They will remain in the Missouri Valley Conference title race. They will remain in the race, even though they will not own a tiebreaker over North Dakota, having already fallen to the Fighting Hawks. But regardless, all of these teams that we have discussed will be playoff teams. All of these teams are legitimate national title contenders, and things will be heating up very, very soon. Of course, we'll have you covered every step of the way for that as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and also make sure to check out everything down in that description below. We've got so much exclusive content for you guys, including our brand new Gridiron Expert podcast. It's on all of the streaming platforms. Make sure to go take a look at that. The links for those platforms are in the description below. It's college football coverage year-round. Extra college football coverage year-round. Who wouldn't want that? Make sure to go give it a look. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.